You wanted to find out from him on his deathbed
Yes.
what happened to your mum.
Yes.
You weren't even going to let him
You-
die.
You weren't gonna let him
No.
die until you knew.
Exactly.
Okay.
I was like, this is my last chance.
Yes. He's not going to die until I find out.
Yeah.
I want to know what happened to my mama.
God did what? Turn it up and come and see. God did what? You gotta hear it to believe. God did what? Turn it up and come and see. God did what? You gotta hear it to believe. Ooh, yeah. Gotta hear it to believe. Oh, God did what? You gotta hear it to believe.
Okay, we're pointing out the obvious here. Barbie's with us.
Oh, yes.
With us.
Beautiful Barbie.
Not just Barbie, but 3 blondes. On
Oh, yes.
set. We're driving everybody else crazy here because there's been lots of outfit changes.
We are women.
We are women. So,
Aw.
yeah. Let me read you a little bit of a bio here. Angel Faulk, known as the Fitness Angel, is a faith-filled health and fitness expert, speaker, and author of a new book, Praise Through the Pain, Diagnosis to Destiny. She is also the creator and host of the Fitness Angel TV, where she inspires women to pursue health in body, mind, and spirit. A wife and mom of 2 adult children, Angel is passionate about helping women, especially during the menopausal years, step into their best health and fitness. She also speaks at women's events, sharing her testimony and leading joyful praise parties and fitness classes. Now, I want to come to
Yes.
a praise party.
Oh,
I wanna come
gosh.
to a praise
I've seen them. I've been part of
Praise party. That
They're
is when
amazing.
we use Christian music
Yeah.
that glorifies the Lord,
Yeah.
and we are dancing and worshiping and praising. And I always think about Miriam with her tambourine.
Yeah.
So the last event I had, one of the ladies made ribbon banners.
Yeah.
We danced with those.
I'd be
but
there for that. I
It's
would
awesome.
do that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's kind of like Zumba, but Christian.
Yes.
I go to cardio drumming, and
Yes.
it's Christian based. So
love
we do
that.
like Christian songs to
Yeah.
cardio drumming.
There's a lot of
It's cool.
instructors out there that love the Lord,
Yes,
and they
yes.
want to use us to glorify Him. And
Exactly.
that's what we do.
Yeah, I love it. It's just a different atmosphere too.
Yes.
It's like it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Angel, the reason why we wanted you on the podcast, I mean, I know you. I don't know everything about you, but I know you've been through a ton of stuff,
hmm
and you have so many miracles that you want to share. And the God Did What podcast is all about
Yes.
God's goodness, the miracles that He does every single day
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes people don't even hear about. But you have some incredible ones in your lifetime.
We can't wait to
Yes.
hear all of them.
Yes.
Oh, we'll be here a long time. if
That's
we-
okay.
The
That's
boys are
okay.
used to it. They already
Yeah.
know we're going to talk a lot.
Yeah.
So-
Good. Good.
Where do you want to start? Maybe can we go back to your childhood? What was
Um,
that like?
Yeah, in the first chapter of my book, I talk about my mom is the one who inspired me to do fitness because she went to a place called the gym. It was the gym. This was in the early 80s. And it was like, guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And there's nothing fancy or frills. But that was kind of my first experience with fitness. And it really made an impact because she was at her happiest and healthiest when she was working out. And that's how I got started in fitness. And I've been doing it for 30 years. But really, my mom, she was 17 when she had me.
17.
17. And we were more like sisters. She was
yeah,
growing
I would
up.
bet, yeah.
So we were more like sisters, more like best friends. And she was married to my dad. He was 20 when they were together, but started when they were like 15 and 18. So they both came from very dysfunctional families, but I knew that they loved me. And I think that's what makes it so easy for me to receive God's love. I talked to a lot of women who never had that
Right.
real unconditional love from their
Right.
mom, and it breaks my heart because I'm just so glad I had that. I'm so thankful I had that. And so we were super, super close. And when I was about 2 or 3 years old, my dad went to prison for armed robbery. Yeah. We were very poor, lived in a little trailer in Apopka, Florida.
Right.
And, but I was happy. You know how kids that grow up so poor they could still be so happy because there was
Well,
love.
you don't know.
Yeah, you
What
don't
you
know.
don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're poor, don't tell your kids.
Right.
They don't know.
I wore shorts from Kmart and never thought a thing about it. You know.
Exactly. You don't know, but if you have that love, that's what
Yeah.
matters. And sadly, he was in prison and we did go through some really tough times. And I do have memories of that, but she never really talked about it or brought it up. But then when I was in about second grade, he got out and nobody back then we didn't have counseling, in the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
you just survived.
Yeah, you said that
And
recently.
just life went on. And then he ended up divorcing my mom for another woman
Oh,
when I was older, a teenager.
Mhm.
And that broke my mama's heart.
I'm sure.
And she was the middle of 5 kids, had been abused really since about the age of 3, sexually molested by an uncle. Um, her dad was a World War II vet who
Mhm.
his best friend blew up in front of him in a tank. So he had alcoholism.
Mm.
There was a lot of mental disease, mental
Mhm.
illness, and depression
Right.
and alcoholism. And my mom had been a functional alcoholic. Like she was drinking all the time, but nobody knew it.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the saddest things I remember is I was about 12 and she went to an AA meeting and I went with her. And I remember this older lady rolling her own cigarettes. It was a cigarette she was rolling. And I remember my mom saying, "Do you ever wake up and not want to drink?"
Mhm.
And nobody could say anything. It's
Wow.
like it was one of those things she dealt with, but I
Mhm.
never saw her drunk or anything like that. But then when my dad left her for another woman, she went downhill.
Mm.
It was awful. She ended up being hospitalized,
Mhm.
told she was bipolar, she needed medication. And she would kind of go on the medicine and then not take it. You know how people, when they take the
Right.
medicine, they're like, "I'm fine, I don't need
I
it."
don't need it,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
you're fine because you're taking your medicine. But
Right.
anyway, um, we went through a lot of those cycles. She ended up going to a rehab she did not want to go to. I think I was 19 and I arranged an intervention. And I paid for it myself. I was a kid in the 80s. I
Wow.
put myself
Yeah.
through college.
Right.
Yeah.
Were
That's
you
the
the
way-
only sibling?
Yes, I was
Oh,
the
wow.
only
So you were
child.
handling
child,
it all.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I always tell people have lots of kids. You don't want anybody to go through this stuff alone.
Aw.
So anyway, I remember doing that. And, she didn't really want the change, so it didn't work. If people don't want to change, they're
Mhm.
not going to
Right.
change. But we still stayed super close. We were best
Mhm.
friends. And then she got into another rehab called the Home of Grace, and it was all Christ centered. And she remembered at 12 years old getting saved at a Billy Graham crusade. But
Oh.
she had never been discipled. So,
Yeah.
you can be a believer, but if you don't grow,
Stops
Right.
there.
Yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
it stops. And then the devil's just going to be after you
Right.
forever.
Mhm.
So at the Home of Grace, she really grew, and that's when she gave me the book by Francine Rivers, Redeeming
yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
Remember Redeeming Love?
Yeah.
That book
Yep.
is so good, and I had the first original edition,
Oh, yeah.
the racy edition.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
She had to go back and edit it for all the Christian
The one the
bookstores
movie
to
looks
take
like.
it. Yeah.
It's a little different.
Yeah, the movie was like a snippet. but
Yeah.
it was, oh gosh, she and I. That book was so good. The character's name is Angel and the mother's
Mhm.
Sarah. And we
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
we felt so much of that, of what happened in the book. And
Yeah.
anyway, I just treasure those moments and
Mhm.
going to visit her and going to church with her. And then she had to leave and she didn't want to leave. She told the people, "I don't know how to live in this world. I
Mhm.
cannot survive in this world." And they actually gave her a job part time. And then it's a nonprofit, so they ran out of money.
Mm.
And she had to go back, and she was an apartment manager, which cracks me up because there's a new show. And I really have not told anybody this. So y'all caught me on a good day. There is a new show, and a lot of Christians are going to be like, "You can't watch that." But it's called Mom. And
Just Mom?
it's just called Mom.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I stumbled across
Yeah.
it, but it's a mother, and she's like my age in her 50s, and
Mhm.
her daughter, who's, I don't know, 30s, and then she has a daughter. And it cracks me up because the grandmom and the mom are recovering alcoholics. And it reminds me so much of me and my mom. Like the banter, and they hate each other, they love each other, they're best friends, they fight. And oh my gosh, when I'm watching that, it's like I'm sitting there with God and my mom laughing
Oh,
and
love
just
that.
Yeah.
treasuring all those times. But anyway, so she got out, and of course, when you're a wounded person, you attract wounded people. And drug addicts and alcoholics came into her life again, and she went downhill. And I remember going to rescue her with my husband. We were dating at the time, so he got an early shot of what he was getting into. So we were getting my mom and coming back to my little duplex. I paid $210 a month for that duplex.
You won't pay that these days.
Yep. And so she lived on my couch, and she told me how to detox her. I had to buy White Lightning and give her so much a day and help her detox. And then she said she wanted to go to treatment. And I called a friend that I knew who was working, in that system, and he got her in for free. And it was in Dothan, Alabama. We lived in Montgomery. It was in Dothan, Alabama. And she went to that treatment center, and she was like, I'm getting my life right. I'm reading my Bible every day. And then she met a man.
She met a man.
And he was the same, alcoholic.
Oh gosh.
That does not work.
Yeah.
I want that to be a warning to all women. Anyway, he was reading his Bible. They're praying. They're getting it all right. And then they go home. They end up getting married. And it went downhill again. And he wasn't just an alcoholic. He was a violent alcoholic.
That's tough.
And one time she was not answering her phone. And we were so connected. It was like
you felt it when something was going on with her. You could tell. Okay.
Yes. We jokingly always said we had an invisible umbilical cord.
Yeah.
Like it was still there.
Yeah.
And my husband and I drove down, and their house, they had the curtains open, and I could see him like raging. And my mom came running out the side door, jumped in the car before we could get out. She was waiting. And she's like, oh, he'll be fine. Oh, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. And anyway, I remember that thinking, you are not fine. This is not safe. You need to go home with us. And she wouldn't. And there's so much we don't understand about women who stay in those situations. We can't judge because we haven't been there. They think differently. It's hard to understand. But she stayed in that marriage, and then she was coming to our house right after Christmas. And then we got a phone call that she was missing. Yeah, this is 2001. I had a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and got this call, and I knew this is not good because Mom would call me, come get me,
Right.
Yeah.
or she'd just come to my house. So I knew it wasn't good, but I just clung to my faith, and I kept praying she's okay. I kept praying she's okay. And we went on the news, and we called hospitals, and we called the jails. We called everything. And I just knew in my gut. I just knew. It's like the Holy Spirit prepares you.
Yeah.
But she was missing a month and a half. And the weird thing was
What did you do during that time?
oh,
Oh,
it was awful. I don't think I ate or drank.
that's all you could think about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was in the Word. My
Good.
big NIV study Bible, the Psalms, has, stains of tears, boogers,
Oh,
snot,
yeah.
coffee,
Yeah.
all that. And I remember my husband played guitar in the worship band, and I volunteered with the kids in church, where I was in church. It was just so hard to go and do. But the weirdest thing was my real dad always was in her life. He had become best friends with her husband.
Oh.
that's
And we
odd.
told her, this is
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm cooking dinner for Larry and Dwight. Can you believe this? And we were like, this is weird. But, some people, that's
They
the
can
way
do
they
that.
live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when she went missing, my dad was like acting weird. I was like, he's in on this. And they said, the investigator said they were all three seen together. So we didn't know who did it. And that's a weird place to be because, you always hear about
do you trust?
forgiveness and all this stuff. And like, well, God, who do I even forgive? I don't know who did it. And it's just a weird, weird place to be. And our pastor didn't know how to handle it. Anyway, it was just a tough place. And then my when they found her body, they found her across state lines. So they lived in Alabama, Dothan, Alabama, which is south, close to the Florida line. So they found her right over the line in a ditch, shallow ditch. She had been laid there. So and I know how she was laid there. But when they found her, yeah, it's like you can die of a broken heart.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt. And I remember just collapsing in the floor. And a watch that she gave me broke. And I remember running to my bathroom and grabbing her picture. It was on the piano on the way to the bathroom. I just grabbed that picture and I was just kissing it and crying and wailing, I want my mama, I want my mama. And it was just the worst thing that I've ever been through, ever. And after that, I kept calling for help, for justice. Somebody do something.
Yeah.
Because the detectives in Alabama, they really believed her husband Dwight did it. And they had enough, evidence they thought to do it. The district attorney said I've got enough. But now Florida has jurisdiction.
She was over the state line.
Yes. And they did not care. They did not want to do anything. It was awful. Steve Meadows was the district attorney, and he called me, or I called him again for like the 300th time. And he said, "We don't care about you or your mother. Quit calling."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Could you report him to somebody?
Did they close the case in Florida, even though she was
Well,
over?
this is some of the wild miracle. Like,
Okay, yes.
I did what? Yeah. Yeah.
But so here we are, still fighting for justice, all of this. And somebody had gotten me connected with the Angel House, which is a victims advocacy center. And the lady's name was Joyce Miller. And when I went to her office, she had angels all around, little statues and things. She
Aw.
loved angels. And my mom did too. She named me Angel, right?
Yeah.
So I just felt so connected. And she and my mom were about the same age. And we became really close. And she was like, number one advice, never give up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell people today in any area of life. You never give up. And our pastor had tried to get me in grief counseling, and it made me irritated. I was like, I don't want to be in grief counseling. And she said, "You're not ready for grief counseling. That comes later. You need justice, and you have to fight for your mom."
You do.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where I was. And
That must have felt good to have someone in your corner, though.
yes,
Right.
Just
it
having
really
somebody that
did.
believed in what you believed in and was going to support you until you found.
Yes. That's why I never want anybody to be alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Never be alone. So we moved to Franklin, Tennessee when I wasn't getting anywhere with justice. I was like, I cannot take it anymore. I don't want to live in Alabama. I don't want to live in Florida, but I got to stay in the South.
Yeah.
you know?
Did this kind of become the focus of your life? I have to find out who did this to my
Yes.
mom.
I had a little picture of me and my mom, and I wrote one of my favorite scriptures on justice, and the Bible is full of scriptures on justice, and that's going to be my next book. And I can't wait because I know the Lord's going to do something amazing. But what happened, we moved to Franklin, Tennessee, and I'm still praying. And those in my Bible study, because right away I got plugged in. Like, you have to get plugged in because we
Right.
need each other.
Mm-hmm.
We are not meant to walk
Community.
this journey alone, right? So I'm teaching classes at the Franklin Y. We're having Bible studies and just really close, awesome women. And so they knew. And when I got this phone call one day from a cousin on my dad's side, and I had literally cut that side of the family off. I was like, I cannot have anything to do with him because I
so many
knew
question
he
marks,
was
too.
suspicious and he
Yeah.
wouldn't tell me things. Even like his voice changed. It was weird.
Yeah.
I knew he was involved, whether he did it or not. I knew he was involved. So I got this phone call, and I'm literally just vacuuming, and it's my cousin. She lives in Texas, and she's like, nobody was going to tell you, but your dad was in a terrible car wreck. They had to use the jaws of life to get him out, and he is dying, and they decided to let him go. But nobody wanted to tell you, Angel, so I'm telling you. And I was like, thank you. And literally just start speaking in tongues, praying, knowing the Lord is going to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
I knew something was about to happen. So, we drove like 5 hours. And I get there, and I'm just like laser focused. I had my bag of evidence on my big purse, my big purse on my hip. I had called and texted all my friends that knew about this. Pray, pray, pray. Something's going to happen. And I go in there in this hospital, and I'm just laser focused. I had to walk through the waiting room, and all his family's there. He was one of 7 kids.
Wow.
And when I get into the office before you hit the ICU nurse station, they said you have to talk to the neurologist on the phone before you go in. So I get on the phone. It's one of those old phone on the walls, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I can't explain this, but he's brain dead, and there's nothing you can do for him. So you need to let him go. He was kind of angry at me because when the
Yeah.
nurse told me that, yeah, we took him off life support, I said, plug him back up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I first found out, and she's like, we can't do that. And then she gave me the head nurse, and she said, well, we didn't know he had a daughter. Nobody told us, so we will have to do that. But he's down to 11 breaths a minute, and we can't promise he'll be alive by the time you get here. So that's why I was like, let's go, let's
Yeah.
go. So we get there, and the neurologist says, you know, he's hanging on, but he's really brain dead. There's nothing we can do. And so I said, well, let me talk to him. So I go in there. I did not care. When you
You don't take
are,
your time.
yeah, when you are so determined and focused on something, you don't care what anybody thinks.
No.
You do not care. So
So
I
what
go
were
in.
you determined on? You wanted to find out from him on his deathbed
Yes.
what happened to your mum.
Yes.
You weren't even going to let him
You-
die.
You
were-
wouldn't let him
No.
die until you knew.
Exactly.
Okay.
I was like, this is my last chance.
Yes. He's not going to die until I find out.
Yeah.
I want to know what happened to my mama. I love my mama more than anything in this world. So, you know, we open the curtain, and he's wrapped from head to toe, all broken bones. And it looked like a gallon jug of milk, a carton, half full of blood with a tube going to his brain. So his brain was bleeding. And, you know, I grab his hand, and I'm yelling at him to squeeze my hand. Nothing, 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 nothing. And I got nothing, but I felt like I still wasn't giving up.
Right.
And I had a cousin come in, and it was my cousin Donnie, and I love him to pieces. I had Donnie and Donna, they were twins, and we kind of grew up together. Even though I had disowned the family, I still loved him, even though we
Yeah.
never talked. But he came in, and Larry, you know, is laying in that bed, and my husband was in a chair next to Larry's head, next to all the machines, all the equipment, you know, beeping and all that, keeping him alive. And so Donnie and I are standing next to his feet at the foot of the bed, and we're holding hands, and we're praying. And, you know, the Lord knows my heart. He knew what I wanted,
What you
and
needed.
he knew I wanted to be able to forgive and move on and enjoy my children, not let the devil steal that from me. So we're praying, and I'm praying for Larry's salvation, praying for everything. And I literally, as our eyes were closed and I'm praying, I feel him leaving his body.
Oh.
I'm not kidding. It was a palpable
Yeah.
feeling. And I turn and I look at him, and I'm pointing, just like I'm pointing to you. I said, get back in your body. It is not time for you to go. I commanded him. It was the power of the Holy Spirit. It was not me. And then I just felt, I felt peace. And, you know, nothing happened. My husband and I went back to our hotel, and I said, okay, I feel like I can tell the doctors they can let him go tomorrow. I feel like I've done all I got to do. So we go back to the hospital the next day, and the nurses were like, wait, you got to talk to the neurologist before you go in. So I get the phone off the wall, and he's like, okay, I don't know what happened, but he's showing some signs of life now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He said it started with a
You're like,
wiggle
"Duh."
of the toes. And so I go in, and I'm squeezing him.
Right where you were standing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were massaging his legs, trying to get the blood flow and all that, you know. And it's crazy. He still wouldn't answer me when I was like, I was yelling at. Probably they thought I was nuts. I was like, did you kill Mama?
Oh my gosh. You're like, get
He
this
would
lady
not
out of
easily
here.
tell.
Yeah.
And my husband was like, oh, Lord, I wanted him just to die.
Oh.
He really was ready for it to be over, my poor husband. But he started showing signs of life, and he would not squeeze my hand when I would ask him, did he kill Mama? He would not admit to it. And it's a crazy story. I won't go on all the details, but his body began to heal. Those broken bones healed on their own.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And like his spleen was ruptured, all these crazy things. And he ended up going to a rehab hospital in a wheelchair and everything. So I went to see him again a couple weeks later.
He's
And
probably like, you again.
I have my tape recorder in I'm a little detective in my
Yes.
purse. I'm still wanting to find out what happened to my mama.
Yeah, of course.
And we get there, and he looks like he's 90 years old. He's aged so much,
Mm-hmm.
everything. And he's talking to me like I'm a little girl, like he's still not all there
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
from the brain injury. And we're in the cafeteria, and my husband took the kids off, and I'm just with him. And he pulls that wheelchair up and like this close, and he has like those Paul Newman blue eyes,
Mm-hmm.
but they can be really scary and intimidating.
Mhm.
And he says, "The man who killed your mother loved her." Yeah. No, he. This is the way he said it.
Tick.
He didn't say that. He said, "The man who put your mother in that ditch loved her." That's what he said. That was his words. And then he said,
Meaning him?
"Yeah, that's what I." No, he didn't say that,
Uh,
but he said this right after. The blue shirt under her was mine.
Ooh.
So I was thinking he's confessing, but I was scared to turn my recorder on at this
You didn't
point.
get it.
So I said, "Where was Dwight?" I was trying to play it cool,
Yeah.
you know.
Finally getting something.
I'm like, "Where was Dwight?" And he said he was drunk, but he wouldn't. After that, it's like he came out of it, and he's like, "I don't want to talk about it anymore."
Mm.
So
So you still
left, came back a couple weeks later. He's all fine and ready. I mean, he's like healed, walking around like a normal man after everything.
Did he remember any of that? Of you like praying over him? Did you ever ask
He
him?
said he could hear everything,
Yeah.
but he couldn't
so
respond.
It's true.
Believe
It
that.
is true. When
The last thing
somebody,
people hear.
yes, they hear everything.
hear
Never give up. And
Oh.
I would say don't take him off that life support right away.
Wow.
But the last time I went to see him, he still would not talk about it at all. And I just left, like, "I never want to talk to you again, but I forgive you." And I
Mhm.
left. And he said, "I forgive you too." And I
Did
thought,
you
that
really
is so-
forgive him though? At that time?
Well, I
Or you
think
just
there are
saying it?
levels of forgiveness.
Yeah, there
I think
is.
you can forgive by faith, even if you don't
Mhm.
feel it.
Yeah.
And I had just decided to obey God.
Faith it till you make it.
Yes,
Yeah.
faith it until you make it. I like
Yes,
that.
yes.
Ooh, so that was what happened then.
And you had
Yes.
other
Then what?
stuff happened in the middle of all
Well,
that.
in the
right?
middle of all that.
In the
In
middle
the
of
middle
all
of
that.
all that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So in 2006, really, 2006 was the year that happened with Larry. Well, also, I started losing hearing.
Mm.
And I went to the doctor, and he said, "You do have some mild hearing loss, but it's nothing really bad. Let's just keep an eye on it."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm from the 80s, so we went to a lot of loud rock and roll, heavy metal. I was a headbanger,
Yeah.
the big hair. I thought all that loud music. And as a fitness instructor, everybody wants it louder.
Loud
Like,
music.
the louder it is, the more energy. And so I thought, I'm paying for that. And I said that to him, and he said, "No, because that would be both ears. This is
That's
just
true.
one ear, so let's
Yeah.
keep an eye."
Is it hurting? You just
It wasn't hurting. It was just a mild loss. I just noticed I couldn't hear as well. When people were talking, I have to lean in. Then I started having to use the phone on the left side and just little things like that. Well, one night, 3 years later, I am asleep and I hear this crunching and it woke me up. And I hear this crunching like people wadding paper in my ear. Yeah. And then I woke up and I was like, nothing. I could hear nothing, completely deaf. So I look in the mirror and
Oh, that's scary.
scared. I called the doctor, start a series of phone calls and appointments. I finally got an MRI, and that was an experience. So got the MRI in 2009, and I'm leaving the office, walking out because they don't want to tell you anything there,
Mhm.
right? You got to wait till
Right.
you go to the appointment. Well, this is a Friday afternoon.
Oh,
The worst
all
time to go.
weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So on the way out, and it's dark outside now, I'm the last person in the office. I see the guy reading my report on a desk, and I creep in there. I was like, "Is that mine?" And you could see the brain, like the left side was perfectly normal, and the right side was mashed, almost completely closed by this huge tumor. I said, "Is that mine? Do I have a brain tumor?" And he just looked at me like,
I'm not allowed to say, I don't think.
yeah. And I said, "I want that disc." He had one of those discs, And I ended up getting it from him. He's
you
like,
kidding?
"Yeah." He's like, "I
That wa-
can't."
was that
He's
before
like, "I'm
like
not supposed to
HIPAA
tell
and
you
all those
anything. You're
things?
supposed to go to your doctor." And he said, "You'll never figure out how to read it anyway if I give it to you." And I was like, "My husband's brilliant. He can figure it out." And I got it. And
I
I
can't
went
believe
and
he
sat in
gave
my
it.
minivan, Big Bertha is what we called her. And I'm on this side looking through the parking lot was the office of the doctor who told me, "Let's just wait and see. It's probably nothing." I
Mhm.
was so angry. And then on this side was a restaurant with people coming in and out with their families. I'm like, what's going to happen to my family? What's going to happen? And so I called my husband at work again. He never answers the phone unless, he knows if I call it's an emergency. And I said, I have a brain tumor. And yeah, he's like, we'll figure it out. It's going to be okay. I go home. He comes home. He figures out how to read that report. And we see it is a life threatening tumor. And it's going to be very serious surgery. Some people don't make it. Um, so a series of appointments falling through the cracks. I had to call and make my own appointments. It was awful. I got a wonderful neurosurgeon, Dr. David Haynes at St. Thomas, and he was describing the tumor to me. And he put his fingers together like this. He said, it's like a game of pickup sticks. I had a meningioma with tails intertwining the brainstem. He said, all these nerves keeping you alive, your heart rate, your auditory nerve is crushed already. Your facial nerve is stretched out. All of this, he said, we have to pick the tumor off. So it's going to be a long surgery. But when he was doing this, some of his fingers were missing.
What?
Like he's missing digits.
No.
And so after I noticed that,
I'm like, oh.
when I noticed the brain surgeon missing fingers, it was like hearing Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 wah. Yeah, I was like, he left the room, got the nurse in. She talked about next steps. I was like, how could he do brain surgery? And she said he was born that way. He's always wanted to be a surgeon. And people who told him he couldn't do it now work for him. So he's, very good. My husband works at Vanderbilt. He trusted him. And he had to have a second surgeon because it was, and they knew it was going to be long. It ended up being 14 hours. Yeah. Dr. Reed Thompson, who was the head of neurosurgery at Vanderbilt. So we just decided we were in God's hands. And and he said, you need to have this surgery within 3 months because some people die in their sleep from this surgery. So I
started getting headaches at that time.
There are no headaches. That depends on where the tumor is. So the only symptom I had was loss of hearing because it had crushed the auditory nerve. But I think if it's up here, you get the headaches. There's different parts of the brain that do different things. But they also couldn't believe I had balance because I shouldn't have had my balance. But I think that was from teaching fitness so many years because you learn to compensate. Right. Like I couldn't do lunges normally, but if I turned my foot a certain way, and I didn't even notice I was doing it until after he said that, and I was demonstrating things. So your body does.
So Angel, what was that like? So you just heard from the surgeon that this tumor is not just a regular little tumor that they can just cut out. It's all twisty-turny, caught up in all the nerves and everything like that. There's a chance that you may not make it through surgery. It would be probably a 14-hour surgery. What kind of emotions were you going through at that time?
Well, I was really leaning on my faith.
Yeah.
And I always say, grow your faith muscles. Like you have to get in the word, worship, praise, prayer, all of that. So that's the mode I was in, just trusting God.
Thank God.
Yes, just trusting God. And I was in a Bible study at the time. And first of all, I want to say the doctor told me it may be a year and a half before I was back to life as normal. Once, I made it through the surgery. And I'm one of those people, I'm determined. Like, I just believe for God's best. I believe He wants to bless us and give us good things. So I just had that mindset. And people ask me, how are you so positive all the time? It's just God. He made me that way. But I went to my Bible study as normal, told our Bible study teacher, Denise Hildreth is her name. She's written many, many books, and she was teaching this little study at the factory in Franklin on Hebrews. And, the joy set before him was us. We are that joy. And I remember she made an announcement that I had the tumor for everybody to pray for me. And women gathered around me praying for me. And this woman whispered in my ear, I had a brain tumor too, and you're going to be fine. And that really, like I said, built my faith muscles. Yes, we need to be around those people. Definitely. But there was a time of praise and worship at the altar that morning also. And
the morning of your surgery?
No. This is when I had 3 months before surgery. Okay. So I went to Bible study as normal the next week after that appointment, knowing I'm got to schedule my surgeries. Yeah, so we had it scheduled in October.
You were digging in deep to God, like, you have to get me through this, God.
Yes, I'm going to get
doing anything different from your normal, like, praise and worship or
well, this was at our Bible study, and we had a singer who was Tina Kyle, who sang at our church also, and she was leading worship. And so I go down to the altar to pray, and the coolest thing is someone had put a CD in my mailbox of Carrie Job. You know that song Healer?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That had become my anthem. So I've been running the car for a few days just listening to that on repeat.
Yeah.
And I still don't know who put that. It was a gift.
Oh.
So,
No
so-
coincidences.
right. So I go to the altar, and then Tina starts singing that song.
Oh.
And I'm just pouring out my heart to the Lord, and He spoke to my heart. 2 things: your faith has made you whole,
Yeah.
Mm.
and number 2, you will be pleasantly surprised.
Hmm.
And I was like, does that mean I'm going to heaven? Because I had also learned in a Beth Moore Bible study that God always heals,
He does.
that we can trust Him
Yeah.
in one of 3 ways: either before you go through the fire, or after you go through the fire, maybe you have chemo, radiation, surgery, whatever, or straight to His arms.
Yeah.
That's our ultimate healing. So I knew I could pray for healing, and I knew I could trust Him no matter what. My kids were 12 and 9 at the time, and being a mom was everything to me. And you already know where I came from, so I didn't have a lot of family support. It was me and the kids in church, you know. And I could not imagine leaving them. So I was determined I could not be taken from my kids. And my sweet little 9-year-old boy, Ethan, the surgery was on October 21st. And he said, I just want you to be able to walk up and down the street so I can get some candy.
Oh,
And
like Halloween.
that was,
Oh,
yeah, right. So I knew God had given me those promises, and I just clung to that. Yeah. And my husband and I knew God had gotten us through the murder of my mother. We had actually lost our first child. We had been through a lot of hell together,
Yeah.
and we would get through this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew.
Strong together.
Yes. And they say when you go through those kind of hardships, your marriage will either get bitter or better. And I believe ours got better. We just learned to hang on to each other. Not that we're perfect in any way, but
Right.
you know, we knew God would get us through no matter what. You just hang on. You keep praising Him and thanking Him. Thank Him for what He's going to do,
Yeah.
because He already knows.
He already knows.
He already knows, so we might as well thank Him and praise Him. If you surrendered your heart to God, you're no longer yours. You belong to Him. So whatever He wants,
Yeah.
all right.
Worst case scenario, you're going with him.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. But I just was determined
Yeah.
I was going to live and
Right.
thrive. And of course, going to the hospital that morning, that's when, you know, nerves can kind of kick in. So we go at like 5 in the morning. It's still dark outside at Vanderbilt, and our small group leader was there. His name was Doug, and then my best friend Edie was there in the waiting room. And it was weird because there was only like 3 people sitting in that waiting room. It's a huge room before you get taken back to get dressed and all that. And everybody had their little pillow and their little suitcase, the little families, you know. And there was one woman in there, and she had on a black hoodie pulled over her face. You couldn't really see. And she was sitting down in a chair with no purse, no keys, no suitcase,
By herself.
nothing, by herself. And she had this gorgeous smile. And it looked just like my best friend who had passed away and gone to heaven. I'm not kidding. Leah and Chris Walls. Yeah, Chris was the drummer. My husband played guitar in our church worship band. And she worked with the kids with me, and they had gotten killed in a car wreck. And I just swear when I saw her, I thought, that looks like Leah. But, you know, it's quiet. Nobody's talking. It's still dark. It's like the lights were low. But when we stood up to pray and hold hands before I went back, Wade said she stood right behind me.
What?
Yes. And then, you know, we closed our eyes and pray. And when we opened our eyes, she's gone.
Wow.
Was it an angel?
Maybe.
Did God let Leah come down?
yeah.
I don't know. But after everything, I did email her dad. He's a missionary. And I wrote him and told him, he said it could have been her. Yeah. We just never know these things. You can't
No.
explain. You can't explain. God did what?
Did what? Right?
Right. But when I went back, they called me back. You know, I had to put on the scrubs or the little gown. And I'm laying on the table, and Dr. Haynes came in. He was going to start. Him and Dr. Reed would, you know, tag team. And then, you know, I had anesthesiologists, all this. And I said, can I pray? And they were like, yeah. So we literally prayed. I prayed out loud. And Wade got my Facebook later. I saw it. He's like, when Angel says, can I pray? She really meant it. She prayed. But I just felt God's presence. I felt He was with us, you know. And then when they woke me up from surgery, they're shaking my shoulder and I was dreaming. And my son, we always talked about dreams because he's a big dreamer too. He's like, "Do you think you'll dream during the surgery?" I'm like, "I don't know. I hope so." And I was dreaming. And it was like Roman soldiers, like with swords protecting me.
That's cool.
I know. And I didn't want to wake up. I was like, "Oh, I'm dreaming. Don't wake me up." And I thought, wait a minute. I just had brain surgery. And I could think perfectly clearly. And then they rolled me to my room and I fell asleep again. And then I woke up and I was so dizzy and so hot. And they had all these blankets on me and I couldn't move. I was like paralyzed. And I could see double vision, it was a mess. And I just wanted to tell them I'm so hot and I couldn't. And Wade knew by my eyes I wanted to say something. So he got me a pencil and paper and I was trying to write the word
Did
hot.
you? Right? Yeah.
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
It was just, and I thought, this is what it must feel like to either be handicapped
Yeah.
or to be like a kindergartner. You're trying so hard.
To get your point across.
Yes. And it was frustrating because I could hear and understand everything. And then time went by and he's like, "Let's try again." And I could do it. I was like, he said, "Hot. She's hot." And my best friend goes, "I know she's hot."
Oh.
And everybody was laughing and cheering. They were happy that I could do something. But I was like, "Okay, you're brain surgeons. Take these blankets off of me."
Yes.
And that was just one of the steps towards normalcy.
Yeah.
But I remember pulling that tube out myself. And they said I could have that in for a long time. They have to have a feeding tube, all this stuff. And, I won't be able to work out at the gym for a year and a half, teach classes. I was in the gym in 6 weeks. Yeah, 6 weeks. But not that it was easy. I mean, Wade drove me. I had a patch on my eye was popped open. When I was still in the hospital, the facial paralysis started setting in. So they said the nerve was not cut, the facial nerve. And that happens a lot in surgery, and then people are paralyzed on their face the rest of their life. But it was stretched out, and it should go back. But one of the doctors was like, "I don't know if it'll go back." But I've had a lot of improvement, and I did facial therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, everything. But the first time I looked in the mirror, it was really scary. Yeah, it was really scary. Women put so much value in our faces. Especially nowadays with social media and all this stuff, and everybody says look young forever, all that. And it was hard, but I remember looking in the mirror and I didn't say, "Oh no, why me?" I never went there.
Yeah.
I just said, "We are going on another adventure."
Yes.
I knew
Great
this was an adventure with Jesus,
Yeah.
and I knew it was gonna be hard, but it
Talk
was
about
almost
Enneagram.
like
You 7?
I'm an 8. Is that the cheerleader?
7's the enthusiast.
That's me.
Yeah,
I'm the
me too,
7.
me too.
Okay, yes,
Adventure,
girl.
yeah.
Yes.
Never done it. I have no idea
So,
what I am.
I see it as an opportunity that God is going to do something. And one of my favorite heroes, her name's Catherine Wolfe.
I love her. Yeah.
I just saw her Sunday. She came to
Yes.
church and spoke. And she had a stroke, and she was a model
Yeah.
in California. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And she made a joke. She's like, "Well, no more modeling for me." But she actually became the face for stroke. So they had that as check in your face. And she said, a lady came up and said, "You saved my life because I saw your face and that's what was happening to me." And she's
Yeah.
like, "Now I can save lives, not just be beautiful." But,
She's spoken at Crosspoint. My church.
oh, yeah.
She's amazing.
Such an inspiration, but she makes me feel more brave. And just after hearing her Sunday, I thought I need to share my story more because she said our pain is too precious to be wasted.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if her pain can heal somebody, that's what she wants to do. So when I saw that, I thought, okay, we're going on an adventure, God. And then, Halloween came, and we always sat on the porch and gave out candy, and I love that. And I had a blanket around me, and my head was shaved, and probably still has some dry blood. And I had this huge patch. I looked like the Terminator. Remember the Terminator when they had
on Halloween,
I was looking rough, but I never really looked in the mirror. I didn't think about it. I just wanted to give out candy. I just wanted to see the children. Just wanted some joy to see the children. And this one little girl came and she screamed. She was scared of me. And that just, the reality kind of set in. So I was like, I'm going inside. So I went and watched E.T. E.T.'s my favorite movie. So I watched that. But, little things God taught me. When you go through something hard, there's so many lessons, and He teaches you so that you could help others. And I remember going to Target for the first time with my face like it is, and the checkout lady was treating me like I had a handicap.
Mhm.
She's like, "Is there anything else?" And I was like, "I just want to get out of here." It was the worst feeling being treated like that. And it really did give me more compassion. And I had worked with Best Buddies a little bit. And I had a buddy that took my Zumba class every Saturday at Down syndrome. I just
Yes.
gave me more love, more compassion.
Yeah.
I know he understood everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, it's just how amazing. And I think that's what the pleasantly surprised may be when God said, "You will be pleasantly surprised." He's using all of this for good.
Mhm.
And I know there's still things that haven't happened that are going to
Right.
come from this.
And you see all the blessings,
Yes,
and you would never have seen those
exactly.
if you hadn't gone
If
through
you
it.
go through life
Yeah.
easy peasy, I feel sorry for you.
I do too.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Because you don't get to experience the things
Yeah.
of God. And in our Bible study right now in church, we're learning about waiting with God, not waiting on God, but waiting with God. Because when you're with God, you see the beauty, you see the treasures in the
Right.
darkness.
Yeah.
But I miss that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like when you get your answered prayer, you can yearn for those years that you spent clinging to God in prayer, in times
Yeah.
just worshiping Him. And it's really special. So I tell everybody, enjoy the journey. If you're working on a goal, if you're working on something, waiting with God, just enjoy it. So that was what happened then. And crazy, crazy, crazy years go by, and I'm not getting justice. Nothing's happening. I didn't give up, but I had quit pouring all my energy into it because I really thought Larry did it at this point, right? Well, let's fast forward to
So, like,
2023.
into this, I want to know.
I know.
I'm writing a book with all the details. God is giving me so much. And I'm glad I wrote down dates and times and hospitals and all that to go back. But in 2023, February, I got a letter that said my mom had a pension plan from the company she worked at all growing up. And I was so proud of her because she was the first woman. I need my water.
It's right here.
So in February of 23, I got a letter that she was getting her pension plan, and I was her next,
Next of kin.
person. Yeah, next of kin. So I was like, wow. And I felt like this pride because my mom worked for the gas company all my years growing up, the Alabama Gas Company. And so she was the first woman to get this job. It was kind of like an engineer. She had to see the screen of the whole city and see all the gas levels. And it was a pretty important job,
Is she the one that changes it?
I don't know what she did. I just know she had a big screen, and she was like the only woman who'd ever been in this position, and she had this huge office, and I just thought it was pretty cool. As a kid, you remember these things. And this was the 80s, There still wasn't a lot of great women's jobs. So I felt proud, and I called, and I got connected to the right person, and they said, "Oh, her husband's getting this." And it was like a dagger in my heart because Dwight was my mom's husband, right? And he had never gotten in trouble for anything and gotten away with, everything. And in that time, in the 23 years since it happened, my dad did pass away from cancer eventually. But I was left still thinking my dad did it, but not sure.
Not sure.
Not sure. I knew they were both involved, and I knew Dwight was, a violent domestic violence person. So, yeah, I got that call, and the first thing I did was call Angel House, the Victims Advocacy Center. And Joyce sadly had passed away from cancer, but her daughter Shelly and I stayed in touch. And Shelly was like my age, so it's like our mamas were in heaven cheering us on.
Right.
And so I called Joyce, and she's like, "Oh, no, he's not. He's not getting another sick," because he'd already had 2 life insurance policies. And he had a great job, retired, living his life, had a big gate with a long road to his house. And it was just sickening that he was living his best life. So we started phone calls. And I did a more Bible study one time that talked about how, say, a child goes missing, the whole community cares. Everybody's out to find out who did this, and then they never find her, and years go by, and it's a different judge and different, different neighbors. People don't care.
Right.
But she said God is a God of ages, the beginning and the end, the
Yes.
creator.
Yeah.
And he was there when it happened. He knows who did it.
Yes.
He hasn't forgotten. And that always brought me so much comfort because I wasn't getting anywhere with the legal
Right.
system. But Joyce was like, we have new people in office now, and there's a detective. If we could get this detective,
Yep.
Terry Nelson, if we could get him on it, he's a bulldog. And I was just praying, Lord, let something happen.
Need to close this book in
Yes.
my mind.
Yes,
Yeah.
I want what's right.
Mhm.
I don't care about the money. I just don't want him getting it.
Right.
And, it's just not right. And so, yeah, so we started phone calls and letters and rejections and all of this. And then, you know how God knows
Yeah.
people.
Yep.
People. It really who you know matters.
It's true.
Well, the crazy thing is, when my daughter was 4 years old, when all this happened, when my mom went missing and was found murdered and all that, she was in preschool. And her little best friend from preschool's mom and I were friends. But she'd moved to Dothan, Alabama, and
Mm-hmm.
her husband was a lawyer. And I connected with her and said, we're trying to get justice and da-da-da, I'm in Dothan. And, well, I used to babysit the district attorney. So
Yep.
he respected her, She said, and we didn't just babysit. Like his parents would go to Europe for a month, and I would live
Oh,
at
wow,
their house.
yeah.
I took care of him.
Yeah.
So she told him to look at this case,
Oh.
and it was just like lots. God was connecting
Yeah.
everything, connecting the dots, putting the right people, and it was really good people that we had.
Mhm.
And the crazy thing, too, is the detective that got this case, we did get it reopened. He got the case. His boss remembered arresting Dwight Mills. Yeah.
Arresting.
For something
Yes.
else, or
Well, he had a DUI when my mom was missing, and he was in jail for 3 days for admitting that he lied that she was missing. He knew she wasn't really missing. It was very obvious.
Mhm.
So he had the same handcuffs from 23 years before that he got to put on him again. We did get an arrest. We got the case reopened. The detective went to Florida. And, before, Florida said, we're not giving you the case. This is our case, but we're not doing anything with it. Well, he went there, and he said they have a whole room of evidence they've never done anything with. He put together a timeline and a whole
Wow.
video thing of it and presented it to the DA, and he said, yes, there's enough for the arrest. So we got the arrest, and that was another miracle. And it's so wild that all this happened in February. Like February 23 got the letter. February of 24 is when they said, yes, we're going to do all this.
Reopen.
And my mom was found in February. So February's always been a rough month for me,
Mhm.
but it's almost like good things happen.
but 23 years later,
Yes.
you had
Yes.
to wait all that time
Oh.
for justice.
Yes, and
But
that
God
was just
knew all the way
that
through.
was still not the end though,
Okay.
because that was
There's more.
the arrest, and my husband and I got to be there to see that at like 5 a.m. We went, stayed in the hotel the night, and that morning, Shelley of Angel House picked us up at the hotel, and we went to the police station, and we sat there in the parking lot waiting because they went to wake him up. At like 5 in the morning and get him there. But it was amazing. It was just like the movies, like these guys with these SWAT team
Yeah.
things. Or, I mean,
Went in.
it's like police cars come rolling in. I don't know, like 9 or 10 cars come in, and they're all beefy looking men. And it's just wild. And then to see Dwight get out of the car
Mhm.
with handcuffs on.
Justice.
Yeah. But that was the beginning. So just because someone's arrested doesn't mean they're going to prison.
Yeah.
So he still has rights. It's really a criminal system, not a justice system, because it's all for the criminal. So now they have to decide if he even goes to court, if he even has a trial, if
Yeah.
he even has to pay for this. So that was the beginning. He
Was
spent
there any evidence left over from the original
yes,
that happened?
yes,
That's all
yes,
stored somewhere, hopefully.
yes.
Okay, good.
So it was all stored and put away. And then after that, after 42 days, and they had like I think it was a 2 million bond, something really high. The judge lowered it to almost nothing. And
Oh.
his reasoning was there's just not enough room in the jail. And that's the way it
Really?
works. Yes,
Oh,
when
gosh.
you go sit in these little hearings, you are woken up to a new world.
Mm.
It is pitiful. I saw a woman who had killed her baby and thrown it in a dumpster with no remorse. I saw a woman who this is weird, but a woman who beat up a man over and over and over, domestic violence, and he was scared of her. It was obvious. Things that especially as Christians in church and in our little bubble, we don't see these things, but it's a wicked, evil world out
It
there.
is.
It is.
And the judge will do anything to help them stay out of jail. Oh, can you pay this bond? Can you pay 500? It's almost like he wanted to get his wallet out and pay it for him. You feel like the judge is for the criminal, but they just don't have room in the jail because we're so lenient. We need to be tougher on crime.
But it's a small courtroom in Alabama that we're talking
Yes.
about, right? It wasn't
Yes.
one of the
There's like
big-
pews. There's like, I
yeah,
don't know,
just tiny.
8 or 9 pews on
Yeah.
each side.
Small jail.
Yeah, everything's small. So, and after all that, they let him out, which was so sickening. Then we had to go back to court a few times because he had the highest paid lawyers, and
Of course.
usually whoever has the most money wins.
That's so true.
Sadly, but I knew God was on our side. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If God is for you, who can be against you, right? So it was so wild. There was a court case we had to go to because he said that he had a letter for the judge, and it was a letter that the DA had written to me. They got a copy of it. There was one line in there that says, since she was found in Florida, there's nothing we could do. But the rest of the letter said, we know Dwight Mills did it. There's enough evidence. Yeah, all of that. So they had that one little sentence, and the judge saw it. But my husband, who notices everything, he's brilliant, y'all. I love my husband. We're like opposite. He is the little detective, little number 5 on the Enneagram, the learner, the studier. He saw that judge's name on the letterhead up in the corner. He was like some kind of lawyer. He was like, so he knows about this case. He's there from the beginning, too. Isn't that wild?
That's crazy.
So I know. It was wild. So anyway, the court case, he said, I'm dismissing this. It's ridiculous. This is silly. We left. But God had shown me a vision of wearing a white jacket and getting victory. And I told my publisher my publisher for my book. And she said, well, you need to go get you a white jacket.
Yes.
And it's so funny because I don't wear blazers. I'm a fitness teacher. I wear workout clothes. But I went and bought this white blazer and I had it on and we took a picture after that case. And I was like, always listen to God. God will
Right.
show you things. One of my favorite preachers says, God will tell you secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus will tell you secrets,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be quiet long enough
here.
and listen. So that was a really good lesson. But here we are. We're still fighting,
Still today.
No. So we
Okay,
finally.
I'm like,
Hold on,
please
keep
tell me. Please
There's
tell me.
more.
So we finally, it was decided we will go to trial.
Okay.
And I was happy, but I was scared because that means I'm going to have to see pictures of my mom's dead body. And that ditch has been laying there a month and a half and hear the gory details. And you could go through all of this. And what Shelley and Angel House said, I don't think she would mind me saying this, but she said usually the jury are idiots, sadly, because there's so many ways to get out of jury duty. If you don't get out of jury duty, you're probably not the brightest person. And she said they can just vote on the weirdest things and let him go because they feel sorry for him because he's old or whatever. So even if we go through a grueling 2 or 3 week trial, he could still get let off. She's very real. She cuts it real. So they wanted to do like a compromise, a mediation type of thing. And so we really prayed about it. And I felt peace about it, even though, I want him to go for life or get the electric chair or something. I really wanted him to pay. But they did ask to lower it to manslaughter because it was not premeditated. And I'm sure it was a domestic violence thing. I really believe it was. And my dad had actually said, and because when liars lie, they usually have a little truth thrown in there. He told me once that he thought Dwight just choked my mom because she wouldn't be quiet, and that he didn't mean to kill her. And that could have been the case. The autopsy said that could have been. So it was reduced to manslaughter. Also, that he took her body across state lines. That was another
that reason.
crime. Yeah. And he only
Were they
got.
both involved then? Is
Well,
that-
they never could prove Larry was involved,
okay.
but Dwight did go before the judge and say guilty. Guilty.
Oh.
He did it.
He
Um,
confessed.
He confessed, which was huge.
Music to your ears.
Yeah, and then I felt guilty for all this time thinking it was my dad. And my husband always said it couldn't have been your dad because they were married all those years. He never did anything like that.
Right.
He never could have done that.
But if they were friends, he could have been there. Like,
Yeah.
And
you may have got the phone call and said, "This is what I've done," and he may have known, but not. Yeah.
well, in my mind, and nobody will know. Nobody will know. That's the sad thing, and you have to learn to live with that.
With it, yeah.
But I believe that Larry, because he was the youngest of 7, grew up really poor, really, really poor. Had to learn to steal at a young age to survive, to eat. And I really believe he had a criminal mind, and he thought if I'm caught being with him while this happened, then I might go back to prison. And he's been to prison. He does not want to go back to prison. So he was willing to do anything to not go, even lying.
Wow.
But we still don't know the exact details. But I felt so much
you're at
just
peace.
relief just to hear him say that.
Mm-hmm.
And while he was confessing, and the judge gave him a million opportunities. Are you sure? Are you sure? He just kept on and on. Anyway,
Not what you asked God for.
right.
You know?
I held my husband's hand. I was holding Shelly's hand, and I was convulsing. The physical body feels things.
Yeah.
And then she started convulsing and crying. And I thought, I know she cares, but wow. Well, the coolest thing is, I was her mother's last case, Joyce's last case.
Oh.
So it was like closure for her, too. Like she honored her mother to help me with this.
Yeah.
And then at the Angel House, they have this beautiful garden, and it's dedicated to Joyce. It's Joyce's garden. And we took a statue, and I got to do a news press and everything there at the garden. It was so precious. And she had 2 statues that her mother had given at this beautiful waterfall. And we put my mom's statue in the middle. And it was like they were all together. And it just, I don't know, God was just in it. He was in it. And that's one thing I like to say is, He'll use the good, the bad, the ugly. He works all things together for good to those that love Him or are called to His purpose. And I want people to know that because so
Yeah.
many people don't believe in God because they're like, how could a good God let all these things happen? But it's so many things we don't understand. But when you're a child of God, you just know it. It's just it's faith.
Yeah.
It really is faith. And He puts it all together. And you know when you get to heaven that we're going to be so happy. There's so much joy. Yeah. And I don't know if my dad made it. I'll find out when I get there.
You'll be like, God did what?
Yeah.
Yeah, God did what? But yeah, He's so good and He got me through it. And I just want everyone to hang on to Him, get support from other believers because God can do huge things. And really, it happens in your heart.
But there must have been, in that 23 years, there must have been times when you're like, really, God, I just need to know who did this to my mom.
Well, I would
Did you
pray
ever-
that. I would pray to know, but I never said why. And I would
Didn't say
and
why.
people ask me all the time, and I'm not judging
Yeah.
anybody who does
Right.
that because that's probably the normal thing, but I'm so not normal. But when things happen to me, I always just figured, why not? It happens to other people too. Worse things.
Yeah.
True.
Worse, I have a friend, her daughter just died. And, there's terrible things that happen to us all. And why do we think, if you think about how little we are in this world, this universe, we are just little specks that God would even care enough to give us life everlasting. That's all I want to ask for. And then for bad things to happen, we live in a fallen world. And my parents both came from super dysfunctional alcoholism, drug addiction, mental illness. I'm a miracle that I'm halfway normal. If I'm even halfway, maybe a quarter way. I mean, seriously, I would probably end up on the streets if it wasn't for Jesus.
Yeah.
And my son even recognized that as an adult.
Broke that
He's like,
generational curse.
Yes, we were at Auburn First Assembly of God. I was a new believer, just filled with the Holy Spirit. And our pastor, Mike Wright, I'll never forget, every Sunday night he would ask you to come to the altar and get filled with the Spirit. And I remember just, oh, I want it so bad. I got a book by Kenneth Hagin, 7 Steps to Receive the Baptism of the Holy Spirit. And I read that cover to cover. And one night I went in, I knew it was going to happen. And the Lord blessed me in a mighty way. But another Sunday night, the pastor said, stand up if you want to break generational curses. And Wade and I popped up, and we broke off the curse of divorce, alcoholism, mental illness. Yes, we broke all that. And when we see little things try to sneak in, we renounce that. That's done.
Yeah.
And even in our adult children, you have to break off those things. And my husband even said, with each generation, it's going to get better. Our kids are healthier. Their kids are going to be even healthier, even better. And I see my daughter she's in her 20s, and I feel like she's light years ahead of me, and it makes me so happy. I want her to live in more victory, to experience more miracles, to have bigger faith. And it's just awesome.
Well, she's seen that in you, obviously, going through this with you as well. So that has probably made a huge impact on her.
Oh, yeah.
Her faith.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm so blessed because when she was a teenager, we fought all the time. She's a firstborn
That's
daughters.
pretty typical. Yeah.
Yeah, firstborn daughters and mamas usually fight. And I didn't know all that until I got a book on the birth order. And Kevin Lehman writes some really good books on raising Christian kids. Anyway, now she's my best friend, and she hosted 4 of my shows with me and shares her testimony.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. And the TV show, Fitness, what is it called?
Fitness Angel?
Fitness Angel TV.
Hey,
Angel Fitness.
I'm pretty
All about that.
simple. It's called the Fitness Angel TV, and it's on CTN, Christian
Yeah.
Television Network, Tuesdays at 8:30 a.m. And they've been giving us bonus replays on Thursdays at 8:30. They love our show. It is so much fun. It's all about faith, fitness, and health. So we talk about how to build your faith muscles. And we do workouts. We do strength workouts with dumbbells, and then we do cardio workouts. And I have guests on who talk about their ministry and how the Lord has changed their lives. And we also have a pharmacist, a nurse, and a holistic nutritionist. So we talk about food as medicine and, healing. And we even got really controversial last week and talked about weight loss drugs. So I had the pharmacist and the holistic nutritionist, and we talked about the pros and cons. Just want to be real. Want to be real and talk
That's
about
what the
real
world wants.
things. Yes.
People want authenticity.
Yes, absolutely. And we're having fun together. And I think that's important. And we all met through fitness, so we're all fitness instructors as well. So we just have a blast. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's kind of like what we're doing, having fun together,
Just having fun.
talking about God,
Yes.
giving Him the glory for
He is-
everything. These stories that we've heard from you,
Yeah.
other guests, it's just so mind-blowing and kind of encouraging to us and just life-giving. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing all of
Thank
that.
you for having me.
It's blessing bucks time.
Right?
I don't even know what to
I know.
say.
No.
I'm like, I knew some of Angel's story,
Yeah.
but whoa.
No. Even more than we thought we knew.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah.
I mean, the story about her mom, how God worked through all of that. And
Was
the
it 23 years?
23 years, but the faith that she had through all of that to find justice for her mom, that relationship they had. And she just knew she had to.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
And her dad?
Her dad in the hospital, they told her that, he's going to
basically
go.
came back from the
They
dead.
turned him off.
Done.
Done. And she's like, oh, no. You're going to
no.
come back to life right now. You're going to come back to life. And then
And he did.
the toes started moving and he healed. And
Right where she stood.
yeah,
Reagan? Yeah.
wow.
I know.
And then after that, like the brain tumor, not just one time, and then how it was all intertwined in the nerves and everything, and the surgeon didn't have all of his fingers.
I know.
Like
God.
what?
Ooh.
And she trusted him. And obviously, he did a fantastic job.
Yeah,
Just one thing
I know.
after another. We could have talked to her
for hours.
for hours and hours and hours.
A joy bomb she was.
Full of joy.
Yeah.
You would never know that she's been through any of that
No.
if you just met her on the
And
street.
she gives him all the praise and gratitude.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like a real life Barbie.
Yes.
Fitness angel. And her real name's Angel.
Yep.
Amazing.
Okay,
Thank
let's
you,
write it down.
Lord, for.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the mom, the justice, raised from the dead, the brain surgery, tumor removal. Okay. And then angels. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for Angel's incredible story, the way that you've worked miracles in her life. And maybe more to come for her too. Yeah, I can't wait to catch up with her another
I know.
time.